This episode is sponsored by Esteep Conversations' favorite, Conjure Tea. Conjure Tea is a woman-owned, black-owned tea business that was founded by pastry chef Shania Thomas Floyd. If you want to support local businesses and drink great tea, Conjure Tea is your answer. The teas I'm digging most right now are Golden Ticket and Decadence. Decadence is a tasty tea that is exactly the combination you'd hope for from a pastry chef. Black tea with rose petals, strawberry pieces, and cocoa nibs. If that's not your bag, you've got to try Golden Ticket, a turmeric-based tea that helps with joint stiffness and inflammation. I was never on the turmeric train before, but let's just say my joints aren't getting any younger, and this is a tasty fix for that problem. The company has been kind enough to give 15% off your first online order to all Steep Conversations listeners by using code STEEP15 on conjuretea.com. That's promo code STEEP15 to get 15% off your first order at conjuretea.com. When you go to bed at night, do you think I can make a bigger impact? But I just don't know how yet.
Yes. I think there's always more people to reach.
You got any ideas?
I'm on Steep Conversations, aren't I?
Hey! So this is Rishi chocolate chai. This is a delicious tea. Now, here's the trick about this. This is not like a normal chai. Rishi chocolate chai has a little bit of black tea in it. So it's pretty low caffeine still, but it does have a little bit. So this one brews at 200 and brews for 5 minutes. Do you like your mug?
Where is Hawkins High School?
So there are listeners right now that are probably screaming at their phones, being like, how does he not get this reference? Hawkins High is the high school they go to in Stranger Things.
Yeah. Sorry.
Did you not watch Stranger Things?
Not really.
Why?
I don't know. It never really got me. I did watch one season randomly on vacation with friends.
Not the first season.
No, it was the second or third. I don't know. And I was like, okay, this is cool. But also I never went back to revisit it.
I understand there are some people that feel like it's oh, I don't like, they say sci-fi. I think it's more fantasy, but they're like, oh, I don't really like, monsters and this, that. For you, were you just like, I'm uninterested?
Just uninterested. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
It was I enjoyed the season that I watched, but I was not ooh, I need to really get into this.
Do you do that with anything? You're like, ooh, I gotta.
I mean, sometimes, yes. I love a trashy reality TV show.
Okay, so I want to revisit a conversation that we had. So for those who are listening, they weren't here for this. We were talking about reality TV shows, and you were talking about the ones that you like. Mm-hmm. There were a few. I think you said Real Housewives of Potomac, no, New Jersey.
And that one too.
Both.
Yep. Yes.
Both. I showed a incredible lack of knowledge in both arenas. I have seen some reality TV. The one that you didn't mention, that I was hoping you were going to mention, because I was going to be like, I'll watch that, was Selling Sunset.
I did watch that.
So I could have really talked about that because I watched a little bit of that with Chas. I didn't see all of it. But can I tell you, I was at a coffee shop in WeHo and saw the two slightly shorter statured gentlemen who run that agency with a woman who, and I'm not trying to cause drama, it was not a woman on the show.
Oh, maybe they were hiring someone else.
Were they hiring someone else or were they hiring someone else? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, I'm not trying to cause drama. This is not E or whatever the thing is. What's the thing where they do all the drama?
TMZ?
TMZ. This is not TMZ. Thank you. It's not TMZ. But I was texting Jess. I go, the men from Selling Sunset are here. And she goes, I said, they're here with a woman. She goes, which one? And I was like, I don't think she's on the show. And she's like, do you know them well enough? And I go, well, it's not Mary. It's not Chriselle. It's not Amanza. What else do you need from me right now? I think I've proven I know who the people are. And she's like, you sure it's not Chriselle? And I'm like, yeah, I'm positive because Chriselle used to only sell in the Valley. She wouldn't be in West Hollywood. I showed a really strong knowledge. How am I doing? Am I impressing you at all? I don't know.
A little bit.
Yes.
2 points.
For those that are listening and don't know you, even though everybody knows you because you're a household name. Is that not true?
Depends on the household.
People know you. You are known as the Hungry Hutch, an incredible chef and recipe designer, and just generally a lot of the actual, if you read the recipes, are actually lovely pieces of writing. And I'm not trying to butter you up, but it's true. But also, you are an incredible journalist for the Washington Post, writing about all things food and recipes and anything adjacent to it. I'm going to ask the hard-hitting question that everyone's probably wondering. This is the hardest-hitting question. Do you watch Top Chef? Is Top Chef?
Yes.
You do?
That is one of the few food shows that I watch.
So I was going to ask, because you're on the inside, do you even care? Like, if you're like if someone's like, oh, let's watch Chopped, you're like, boring.
With Top Chef, I love the drama, but also I love the food and the actual cooking. And it's something where it's like, oh, I'm interested and excited to see what they make.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they might introduce me to a new flavor combination or ingredient or technique or something. Because these, in theory, are people that are sort of at the top of their game and they're putting their talent on display for the world to see. So I want to see it and absorb it and maybe take it in. And I've been fortunate. Like, I've talked with a number of Top Chef contestants in the past and used them as sources for articles, and I have a few of their phone numbers in my phone.
Can I tell you, my favorite was a guy. I watched season 2. I loved it. I saw one other season. I really enjoyed it. I did not stop watching intentionally. It just kind of fell off my radar. There was a guy in season 2. His name was Harold. I loved him. He ended up opening a restaurant, I want to say in Brooklyn. And I always wanted to eat his food. Do you know who this guy is? I don't view myself as a guy who can get into nice restaurants.
Anyone can get into nice restaurants
if you work
hard enough.
But that's so, or is willing to like wake up at 6 a.m. when they release the reservations to try and get one, and like,
or go eat dinner at 5 o'clock.
I would okay, so for those listening, I'm having shade thrown at me because Hutch and I had dinner at 5 tonight. I want to make my case. Okay.
For the early dinner?
Yes, for an early dinner. 5 p.m. is not the time I want to eat dinner, but I would like to be done with dinner. Everyone's about to rage. I want to be done with dinner by about 6:30 or 7. I'd like to be done.
I'm not even thinking about dinner until 6:30 or 7.
I'm a Jew with indigestion, okay? I want to be wrapped so I can digest by the time I go to bed, right? That's where I'm at. Now, do I think a 5 p.m. dinner is reasonable? Not particularly.
Depends. I mean, if it's like the middle of the week, then 5 p.m. But if it's the weekend, I'll have a 9:30 dinner. Why not?
Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, I'm a night owl.
I'm a night owl too. I like to be up till 2 a.m., but eating those late dinners. I'm also a golden retriever. I can't be trusted with food. Like, if food's there, I just eat it. Even if I'm full, if it's still in front of me, I'll pick at it.
And the problem is?
Then I get really full and I have trouble sleeping and I have indigestion and it's all your fault.
All back to sleeping.
Okay. If you want to throw shade on the pod, you could tell them what you're throwing shade about here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You are the loudest snorer I have ever heard in my entire life. Now, I also want to say, just because people are probably wondering, you have been one of my closest friends for... the number of years is going to date me. I'm going to say 18 years. It's been a long time.
Trying to do the math.
Good
luck. A long time. Yeah.
Long time. So we've shared hotel rooms. We've crashed in other cities together, all those kind of things. So I feel like do I have like the biggest sample size possible? No, I don't spend every night with you. But do I have a decent sample size? Yes. And sometimes I legitimately think, I hope that there are no bodies under the floorboards because he's woken them all up. Have you never heard? Does no one else ever say this to you?
Every once in a while, yeah.
Okay. I don't want to get into your personal life, but if there's like a gentleman that you have over, do you say like, just so you know, just a little heads up, not a big deal, but you probably won't even notice. I might snore. Just a little. Do you say anything or you say nothing?
I give a little heads up.
You do.
Sometimes, yeah. And then I have bought the nose strips.
Does that work?
I don't know.
How do you not know? Does the guy go, you didn't snore?
I think every once in a while it's like, oh, you were so quiet or something like that. Like I didn't know if you were alive or not.
I do want to go back to the thing that interests me most about your journey. And I've talked to you about this before, but I think about it all the time. You started in finance.
Yes.
And then you left finance.
Dollar bill, y'all.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah.
How did you get the courage to do that? I'm very scared to do that. How did you get the courage?
YOLO. Literally.
The year you left, was YOLO even a thing?
Probably. This was 2012.
I don't know.
YOLO's been around for a while.
Yeah, I don't know when YOLO came out. All right, so in 2012, you're doing finance and you loved it. It was your favorite thing ever.
No, not at all. It was my first job out of college. And I was like, this is what working is like? You have to do this every day for the rest of your life until you can retire. I was like, oh, dang it. That's a lot. And finance was not something that I could see myself being happy doing for that long. So I was like, you only live once. Got to find what makes you happy. And I thought food would do that.
But you weren't scared that like, okay, I'm going to try and go into food. What if it doesn't work? What if I, the rest of my life, make barely enough money to pay my rent?
Well, my thinking was like, if I try food and I don't like it or whatever, I have finance as a backup plan. It's a pretty solid backup plan if you ask me.
It is a good backup plan, but you don't have that voice in the back of your mind that goes, you can't get hired again. You shouldn't have been hired the first time.
My voice said, all these people love you. You're really good at your job.
True.
They would hire you again or help you get a job somewhere else.
Can we switch voices? My voice also sounds a little nasally and very whiny. You felt the comfort to leave. I want to say that did you try doing culinary school at night and finance by day, or did you leave?
Yes.
You did?
Correct.
Were you sleeping? Because that seems like
Not
finance
really.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my full finance job, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I would go to culinary school from like 5:45 to 10:45. And then sometimes go out afterwards, sometimes go home.
When did your finance job start?
I mean, it was a 9 to 5.
Really? You weren't getting up earlier than that?
Not really, because I started in 2009, right after the world crashed the first time. Or the second time. I don't know. I lose track.
Recession, was it?
So at that time, people weren't working crazy hours anymore. Like I interned summer of 2008, and I was working 50, 60, 70 hours a week.
I misheard you. It sounded like you said the last number was 70.
I mean, maybe not actually 70, but I would easily like start 8:39 and stay until 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock as an intern because other people were doing it and there was work to be done. But then came back full time after the market crashed and people were clocking out at 5:30.
You're like, I'm glad everyone's losing money because I work better hours now.
I mean, yes.
So I know I should know this because I know you, but I don't actually know this. Were you good at cooking before culinary school?
I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the food that I made and the other people that ate it seemed to enjoy it, but it's like nowhere near where I am now.
Well, yeah, where you are now is insane. But like, I feel like when you say like, well, I enjoyed it. It's like when you're like, oh, you just met Sarah. How was she? She's nice. She seems perfectly unobjectionable. That's what it just sounded like you were talking about your food.
I mean, it's hard to remember like back then because
you're too good now.
Too good now. No, but also it's like I can't remember what I was cooking 10 years ago. And like at that point, I loved what I made because like if I made it, then it was good. But also I feel like maybe my repertoire was more limited back then. I'm sure it was just because I didn't know all the things that I know now. So I'm sure it was good for what it was based on like the limiting set of ingredients and knowledge base and everything like that. But now I'm like leaps and bounds ahead of where I was.
Interesting. So you went to culinary school and then right after, did you just have all the confidence? You're like, I can work anywhere.
I had some confidence, but that quickly dwindled when I started working in a restaurant kitchen.
It dwindled?
Oh yeah. Culinary school does not prepare you to like go straight to the line and be a line cook. I mean, it sets you up, but to think that you're ready to like run a restaurant or like know how it works is a big old lie that people tell themselves.
What does being, so I was a server, I was a bartender, I was never a line cook. What exactly does being a line cook entail?
It is project management to a certain extent.
Interesting description. Okay.
Because you start the day with a list of tasks from the night before or the person before. Like these are your prep tasks. You need to peel the vegetables or roast the potatoes or dice the chicken or whatever. This is before service starts. Then service starts.
That's what I always think. I don't think about the pre, but there's a lot of pre.
There's a lot of pre.
Okay.
And then service starts. And then you start getting all these new inputs for new orders, new processes, new tasks that you have to do. So like, oh, here's an order for a sandwich. So I need to slice the bread, toast it, spread it, drop some fries, and then coordinate with whoever else is making whatever dish for that table so that it all comes together at the same time. And then I still have these other pre-tasks that I need to get done for either service at lunch or for dinner later on. And then another ticket comes in for a different order. So I have to readjust all my priorities. And then another ticket, another ticket, another ticket. So It's a constant input of new information that you have to quickly assess, prioritize it, and execute. And also communicate with others who are doing the same thing so that the sandwich and the soup and the salad all go out at once.
These are all probably silly questions, but like, let's say you're working in a place that has steak and lamb on the menu, okay? Is there someone who's specifically on if a ticket comes in that says steak or lamb, that person makes the steak and lamb? Mm-hmm. If there's someone if a pasta order comes in, there's somebody who does pasta. Is it divided that way?
Yes.
So are you like shouting like I assume Emily seems like a very pasta person name, but if you're just like, if you're like, hey, Emily, when's the cavatappi done? Because my steak's done in 2.
Yeah.
You do have to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes there's also like someone whose job that is.
The expediter?
The expediter, exactly.
Hell yeah.
So like, what's the status on table 5? You're like, oh, they have a steak and a pasta and a lamb.
That's a lot of food for table 5. There's only 2 people at the table.
They're hungry. They're small plates.
I understand that, but the people who are at table 5 just had a meal 3 hours ago.
Well, they like to eat.
I know. They had a fight in between. It was a whole thing. Honestly, they thought they were going to break up between lunch and dinner. Anyway, you don't know table 5? Good table. Interesting. So how long did you do that for?
A year-ish.
What comes next? I want to say it's the magazine, but it's not.
Well, the magazine and the restaurant were simultaneous for about 4 months when I was working 7 days a week.
Sorry, I got to clear my throat there. Got caught 7 days a week. Got caught in my throat. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a stupid question. Did you like that? I can't imagine.
No. Who likes working 7 days a week?
If you do what you love, you never work, they say on bumper stickers.
All lies. It's always work.
Okay. Well, I read that on a bumper sticker. I also read honk if I'm not driving well. And I believe that too. And I did.
Needs to reevaluate what you believe when you read on cars.
That's where I get all my information. I literally, the only way I passed any classes in high school was that my friends would just put test questions on their bumper stickers so that way I could learn as I drove. So you were doing those things at the same time. Did you kind of have an inkling of like, I'd rather work at a magazine, or I'd rather work in food journalism, or I'd rather work in a kitchen?
Food journalism was always the goal. But
okay.
The magazine internship was unpaid.
That should be illegal.
I mean, I think it is now, but excellent. Back in 2012, not so much.
Nice job, Congress.
Thank you, government.
Yep. I don't say that very often. I don't say that sentence a lot. Yep.
Everyone wants to work for a food magazine, so those jobs are very competitive.
Why wouldn't people want to work in a kitchen?
I'm not saying that people don't want to work in a kitchen, but the number of people that want to work in a magazine and the number of magazine jobs that exist is very disproportionate.
Why did you need a culinary degree if you wanted to work in food journalism?
I wanted the education, and I also wanted the network.
Interesting. So you keep in touch with some of the people that you met through that experience?
Not a ton right now, but in the beginning, like, there was a full career center and everything at the culinary school that helped me get some of those first jobs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're at the magazine, you're doing the line cook action, and you're like, I cannot continue doing 2 jobs at once.
Correct.
What happens?
Quit the magazine because
they don't pay.
It
didn't pay when it doesnn't pay. Mm-hmm. I just came up with that. Put that on your car.
Put it on a bumper sticker.
Put it on a bumper sticker. People will believe it. Okay, so you quit that. Mm-hmm. Then and you stayed with line cooking.
Just started doing that full time.
Bobbing and weaving in line cookery. Mm-hmm. Do people describe it like that?
No, but okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to do it. And then where do we go?
A little personal assisting. And then, I worked at a summer camp.
Okay, also information I didn't have. Were you a counselor?
No, I was a cook.
Oh, I was really hoping you were a counselor.
I mean, I was a counselor in college at a summer camp, but this time I was a cook.
Sleepaway or day camp?
Sleepaway.
You were a cook at a sleepaway camp.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a Jewish sleepaway camp?
I hope this doesn't get me canceled, but aren't most sleepaway camps Jewish?
Well, that's why I asked. Yes. Okay, Jews out there, I'm looking down the barrel. Cancel Aaron Hutcherson. He just asked if most sleepaway camps are Jewish. Cancel the man. Did you get frustrated when they were like, oh, the kids want chicken fingers, chicken nuggets?
All actual food made from scratch.
But was it? Well, I guess the easy way to answer if it was Jewish, were you making cheeseburgers? If you were mixing meat and milk, then no, it wasn't a Jewish camp.
It was not in that case.
Okay, got it. Did you make anything that objectively you were like, this is better than what these kids deserve?
Oh yeah, most of the time.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you making?
I don't know, but I made a bunch of fresh baked cookies and desserts and tarts and pudding and stuff from scratch. These kids don't know how good they have it.
I'm going to say something, and I don't want to be too controversial. Pudding
Like, what's the story? Pudding? What are we doing here? What are we talking about? Pudding? Come on. You have so many desserts. You're going with pudding?
Why not? What do you have against pudding?
I don't know. It just reminds me of like snack packs from like elementary school.
I was doing like a banana pudding from scratch. Like make the pudding with bananas in it and then make a little shortbread cookie and some whipped cream.
There was a restaurant on Abbot Kinney, and restaurant is a generous term.
Hole in the wall. Shack.
I don't know. I wouldn't go in. It was called Poodoo Poodoo, and it was a store or a restaurant, an eatery, if I may. May I?
Sure.
Okay. It was an eatery designated for pudding. And I had multiple people, Jess included, who would always be like, oh, should we just like go? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to a place exclusively for pudding.
Why? Why are you so anti-pudding?
What is it? What is pudding?
It is
gelatin and chocolate?
Not necessarily. Traditionally, it's egg yolks, dairy, flavoring. You don't need gelatin to make pudding.
I don't know. It just looks weird. Pudding looks strange. You don't see what I'm saying about the weirdness of pudding?
No. Have you ever had like
gourmet pudding?
Or like even like the Magnolia banana pudding?
From Magnolia Bakery?
Mm-hmm.
No. I've heard it's great though. Well, I don't see you shipping me pudding.
There's a recipe online that you can make.
For Magnolia? They would put their recipes online, or someone just duped it?
I think they put that one online.
Okay.
Probably.
All right. So you're making pudding for little Jew kids. You can't say that, by the way. I want to be clear. I can say that. You don't say that. If someone asks what were you doing in summer camp, don't say that.
Okay.
But you were doing that, and then what happens?
Bopped around, like went back to the restaurant for a little bit. Then I worked for another restaurant group in the corporate office that we'll not talk about.
Okay, so I know what you're referencing. We don't have to use their name. Mm-hmm. Did you learn anything in that job about whether you would or would not want to work for a bigger restaurant group or work for a more celebrity-esque chef or things along those lines?
I mostly learned more about how restaurants operate.
Okay. That seems
which was valuable and like so much work. So when people are, not all the time these days, but like, oh, do you want to open up a restaurant? I'm like, no, I do not want to open up a restaurant unless someone gives me millions of dollars and runs it. And then I just like develop the menu.
Didn't at one point you want to open like a very small hole in the wall cookie shop?
I mean, that's the extent of what I would do on my own, because that seems like the most manageable.
Do you still want to do that?
Maybe at some point, but I don't foresee myself doing that anytime soon.
What about a little pudding shop? Would you do that?
I feel like pudding is a lot more fickle.
Yeah, I mean, listen, pudding's a fickle beast. But before we go any further, are you ready for the first segment?
Is anyone ever ready for the first segment?
We're going to find out. It's the Newly Friend game. It's like the Newlywed game, but we're friends. Even though I've heard you snore enough times, it's almost like we're more than that.
Love us.
Lava. It's the Newly Friend game. Sometimes I ask different questions for each of us. Sometimes I ask the same. Today it's going to be the same. I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to write down your answer. I'm going to write down what I think your answer is.
Okay.
Then flip our boards. We're going to look. Then we're going to do the same thing for me, and we'll see if we match. So we're going to go with you first. We want your answer, but we're going to have the same question. Okay. Now, a lot of people may not know this, but on thehungryhutch.com, go check it out right now. On your website, you have a lot of great recipes for Thanksgiving. So your question is Thanksgiving themed. Keep one, cut one, famous Thanksgiving dishes.
Okay.
So I'm going to put, so you ready? Flip your board on 1, 2, 3. Oh, I was really close. Okay. So Hutch said, keep cornbread dressing. I thought he was going to say, keep sweet potato pie. I think that's still a good guess.
I mean, it's related to why I'm cutting pumpkin pie.
Oh, and his cut is cut pumpkin pie, which is criminal in 8 states. And I thought you would cut green bean casserole.
I don't know how many times I've had green bean casserole. That does not exist at my Thanksgiving table.
Interesting. Is that like just a crusty white person's dish?
I mean, I didn't say that.
Oh, but you thought it, you monster. Okay, so I'm not going to, I don't want to talk too much about this because obviously I have to answer the same question. And I'm just going to let you know right off the bat, like pumpkin pie is not in my keeper cut, but like you cut pumpkin pie just because sweet potato pie already does the job.
Yes.
But do you like pumpkin pie?
That's fine.
That upsets me. You'll defend pudding to the death. Pumpkin pie, you'll just leave to the wayside.
Yes.
I don't understand you. I don't understand you. Listeners, if you're hearing this, like tweet us, email us, Instagram us, send up smoke signals. If you're choosing between pumpkin pie and pudding, what are you choosing? Know that there's a right answer, okay? So now it's for me. This is my Keep one, cut one, Thanksgiving dishes. Okay. Now you're going to be pretty surprised, I think.
I'm going to write down to keep. I don't know if it's something that you have on your Thanksgiving table. It's not something that I actually have on my Thanksgiving table, but a lot of people enjoy it.
So you ready to flip your board on 3?
Yep.
These are for me. What I would keep and cut. 1, 2, 3, flip. Oh my God, he got one right. Okay. So the keep for Hutch put was mashed potatoes. I'm going to be honest. That's a very close answer for me. But just like Hutch, I call it stuffing. He calls it dressing, but I keep the cornbread stuffing. It's my favorite dish at Thanksgiving. Hutch got the cut right. I cut turkey. Did you know because we were talking about it? Or
no, because you don't eat meat.
But can I tell you the honest truth? There's 100% true. Even when I ate meat, turkey was still the least exciting thing at Thanksgiving to me. It's a day of sides. Like the turkey's fine. It's fine.
I feel like most people don't cook turkey well.
That might be true, but like it's fine.
Do you think that chicken's only fine?
No, I really like chicken.
See? Same.
You think it's the same?
Yeah. If you like chicken, there shouldn't be a reason you don't like turkey.
They taste different.
Not too different.
Why do restaurants always offer chicken and not turkey?
Chickens are easier to cook. Turkeys are difficult. So that's why they're often dry.
I've had moist turkey. I still don't think turkey's great. It's also that it's so big because I like dark meat. I was a dark meat guy. So even when I ate meat, I would say cut turkey. And I'll say the unsung hero of Thanksgiving.
I have one.
I say this is the unsung hero because it does a lot of heavy lifting. Gravy is an unsung hero. Was that the one you were thinking?
That was my second one.
And cranberry sauce.
Yep.
Those are the heavy lifters. They put Thanksgiving on their backs and they get it across the finish line. That's how strongly I feel.
Now, are you a fresh cranberry sauce or canned?
I'm going to be honest. I am 100% fine with that weird gelatinous blob of cranberry sauce, but I typically make fresh cranberry sauce. Where are you?
I like them both. They're like different entities.
Completely.
Yeah. Like I love a jellied cranberry sauce that I could just like slice out of the can with the ridges and all.
You got to keep the ridges. Don't hide the ridges.
But I also, for work, I make fresh cranberry sauce. Write recipes about that.
Controversially, do you put raisins in your cranberry sauce?
No, who does that?
My mother. What is that? One time, my mother was like, you got to have the cranberry sauce this year. I said, no. This is before she'd made it. She said, you'll be happy to know I didn't put raisins in it. Even though I think it's better that way. For you, I didn't put raisins in it. I was like, okay, fine. We sit down for Thanksgiving. I have one bite. I immediately walk up to the sink. I spit it out. I go, why would you lie? And she goes, I didn't put raisins in it. And I go, do you take me for a fool? Do you think you raised a fool? Because there are raisins in here. And my mother looks at me with cold, dead eyes and just goes, I didn't even think you'd notice. I was like, the audacity. The woman who birthed me to just hide raisins in my food. You heard me say earlier in the car, raisins are demons that hide in your food.
I love raisins.
Well, this interview is over. It's not really an interview, it's a conversation, but it's over. But anyway, that is so interesting that you knew to cut turkey. So you only answered that because you thought I said that. You actually like turkey.
Yes.
Okay, that's disrespectful. Back to...
I'm a professional, so I'm always right.
Oh, are you also right about raisins being delightful? Because you're wrong about that.
I am also right about that.
Ugh. Okay, so we left off that you were personal assisting and you were making pudding for little Jewish children. Again, don't say that. I can say you don't say that. And you were line cooking. And then where did we go?
I think I interned at Food Network.
How was that?
It was cool. I was writing a little bit of writing, but like doing stuff for the website. And then I got to do some food styling because of it and like worked on a Bobby Flay show for a couple episodes, which was cool.
What is food styling?
So you know how like put the pie in the oven and take it out and ta-da, it's done.
Yeah.
There's a food stylist inside who makes it and then just pushes it back out.
Wait, so they would put the uncooked pie in the oven, then you in the background were baking the pie for them. Okay. Interesting. Did that lead to an immediate opportunity?
No, I didn't do it long enough.
Why? Where'd you go?
I was freelancing at the time and I was like, I need to make money. So I went to another corporate restaurant group.
How old are you at this point? Do you mind me asking? When you're in the second restaurant group?
This is probably 2015.
Are you starting to get nervous at this point? Like, am I on the right path? Have I made a mistake?
Not yet.
That comes.
Yes, there is that pressure, but also it wasn't too much where I was ready to like run away.
What would it have taken?
I would have needed to not like it anymore or to not be able to afford to do anything or to not work or I was still figuring out the restaurant food world and all the various things. Because at this point, I'd cooked, I'd worked in corporate restaurant groups, I'd worked in editorial stuff, I'd worked on TV sets. So I was still sort of hopping around, finding my way in the food world. And I guess it's something that I knew/know that it takes time to do that. And I was giving it the time to figure itself out.
I don't know when in the timeline this happened, but you created the Hungry Hutch, which started out as just a blog, I think.
It started before all this.
So you started the Hungry Hutch, what, right after culinary school?
Before culinary school. This was like right after we graduated college.
Right after we graduated college, you started a blog just kind of capturing what you were cooking.
Mm-hmm.
When you were going through all this stuff, and please don't know if I'm putting words in your mouth, but feeling lost at some points, was the Hungry Hutch the thing that was like, I can go back to this because I identify with this. This is my identity and this is what I want to do. So this is what I'm going to keep doing.
The Hungry Hutch started as a creative outlet.
Okay.
I was interested in food and cooking and trying to teach people how to make delicious things at home. So that was my foray into doing that. And that was really what I wanted to be doing. Now, looking back, I don't know if this was really the thought at the time, but it's like no one is hiring me to do this. So let me just keep doing it for myself and for you and the 2 other people that read it.
I read it all the time.
And then hopefully one day I'll be able to use this as proof of what I can do.
The Hungry Hutch wasn't what you inevitably wanted to end up doing. You wanted it to be proof to someone that you could do something bigger than the Hungry Hutch.
I don't really know.
Well, I think about a lot, like, and obviously comedy and cooking are completely different. But I think about, like, as I go through the journey of comedy, I always think about what is my identity as a comedian? What makes me unique? What makes me different than other comedians, right? Because I'm a straight white male, so all that's kind of out the door. But like, is it the fact that I am more emotional than your average comedian? Is it the fact that I am more in touch with my feminine side than your average male comedian? Is it the fact that my Judaism is a part of my cultural identity, but not my religious identity, and the difference in that respect and experience? Is it my experiences with loss a little earlier in my life than the average person? I don't know. But like those things swirl in my brain a little bit. Like, what is my identity? And how important is it for me to lead with my identity in comedy? When you look at your cooking career, does being gay or being black or being on the, I would say arguably the younger side, potentially when you started, it feels like early 20s, feels like it's on the younger side. Do any of those things play into your identity at all? Like, do you think about this stuff as much as I was thinking about this stuff as a comedian?
At the time, no. But obviously identity impacts your work.
Yeah.
For me, like the Hungry Hutch was the things that I wanted to eat. It was at first just a reflection of what I grew up knowing how to do and then what I would see on the Food Network and want to try and recreate.
Yeah.
And then it was, oh, I've gone to culinary school. I've worked in restaurants. So I have these new techniques. I have these new tricks. Let me share them with the world. And then it was, I live in New York. I've tried all these different ingredients and flavor profiles. Let me take some of that, incorporate it into what I do. But also like all throughout this is like, I'm a single man living in New York City with a tiny kitchen and literally like 2 feet of counter space. And I can make these great meals at home. And I'm sure there's tons of people out there who also have 2 feet of counter space and want to know how can I prepare something here. So it's like a chicken and egg thing. Like they're all intertwined. Like my food is who I am what my food is.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I'm interested in that.
One thing I think about is like, as a black person in the food world is like, when I putting out black food? It's hard to say. It's like not black food because I am the creator of these recipes and these dishes, but I'm also, I mean, sometimes I am, but usually I'm not leading with, this is a food that's important to the black diaspora.
Sure.
Here's why it's important.
Well, it feels heavy. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. That's a lot to put on your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Like taking a recipe and being like, I need to think about the cultural implications of the entire diaspora of the past however many years as it applies to celery root mashed potatoes or whatever the thing is.
Banana pudding.
Oh, stop it. Never get away from this pudding. want to get away from the pudding.
Can't escape it.
I want to so bad. Would it be weird? Someone comes up to you and says, I want you to put up a recipe for matzo ball soup. Any question from you on that of like, or traditional dumplings or bao? Do you sit there and go, my identity matters here because maybe I'm not the right person to make this recipe? Or is it, I have a love for food. I have potentially a love for dumplings. Let me give my interpretation of my love for dumplings.
It's something that I've thought about more than once. And it depends on the situation. At my current job, sometimes it's, am I the best person to be sharing this recipe? Which has reasons for both sides. I also have to remember that I have a platform that other people don't have. So I can do my job as a journalist to find the people who are the most knowledgeable about a dish that I know nothing about and get their input and their take and their knowledge and sort of share their version of whatever dish it is. So like, yes, I am sort of, it's my byline, but I'm just sort of a facilitator for someone else's thoughts and views and recipes.
So the recipe might say something like traditional bao buns by Aaron Hutcherson, but it might be like, I met up with so-and-so chef, and this is her mother's recipe that we wanted to share today. If you enjoy this recipe, you can get more from so-and-so at their website or on their socials. That's how it works?
Yeah.
But is it ever like, I want to combine with so-and-so because maybe they have traditional recipes as it relates to bao, and I would love to see what it would be like if we fused for you, like more Chicago flavors with bao. Does that ever happen?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I err on the side of caution and always try to write it as much as possible. Where it's like, I like bao, I like dumplings, whatever. I was inspired by dumplings. I took it, I made it my own. So then I'm just upfront, like, this is not a traditional recipe. This is my take on something that I had once. So don't come to me saying like, oh, you've destroyed whatever. It's like, no, I was inspired by this. I've interpreted it. I've sort of stated all the reasons why, and it tastes good. So
and then a bunch of people don't actually read the recipe and go, you stole this. And you're like, no. Because there's that line essentially between appropriation and appreciation.
Yes.
So it's like, I appreciate bao, so this is my ode to it, versus I'm appropriating bao, and all of a sudden it's just under my byline.
It's like, ooh, I found this new thing. It's called bao. Have you ever heard of it before? Here's how I make it because I'm an expert. No, I would never do that.
Oh boy. Let's go to the second segment. Our second segment is Teach Me Something. You teach me anything. Could be 5 seconds, could be 5 minutes. Preferably not like 15 minutes because I don't have the attention span for that. But talk to me. What are you teaching me today?
I'm going to teach you how to make a soft scrambled egg.
I love scrambled eggs. I love soft scrambles. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been to 2 restaurants in the past month where I ordered a soft scramble, and it was not a soft scramble. It was a lie. I was served a bed of lies.
Okay.
Which I didn't appreciate. Talk to me. Soft scramble.
So we're going to start with our skillet. It could be nonstick. It could be cast iron, carbon steel. You could use stainless steel if you wanted, but it's more likely to stick there. And then we're going to put it over, I'd say, low to medium flame. Throw in a tablespoon or 2 of butter.
Or 2.
Why not?
Yeah. Okay,
butter makes things better. Fat carries flavor.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Fat helps flavor molecules stay on your tongue so you can experience them longer.
That's spicy.
Save that for later. And then we're going to take 2 eggs, 3 eggs. How many eggs? 3 eggs, 3 eggs. Crack them into the bowl. Whisk them vigorously. No streaks of egg white in it.
Yeah, no egg white left behind.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I was under George Bush. He rolled that out.
All right, so we got the butter melting. It doesn't even have to be fully melted. It doesn't have to be foam because we're going low and slow.
Low and slow.
Low and slow.
Some people tell me that if you're cooking this, the pan has to be a certain temperature before the pan needs to be hot. And you put a little water in, and if it beads, it's right. And if it all that stuff.
For certain things, yes, but not for scrambled eggs. No.
Okay. I've been told that making eggs in culinary school gets its own session because
it was a whole day. It was egg day where I made dozens of eggs.
Is it the thing where you can't brown the egg? If you even brown the egg a little bit, you didn't technically make it according to a French omelet correctly?
Yes. So back to the scramble.
Sorry. Yep.
So we put the eggs in the pan. If the butter's not melted, that's fine. It'll melt eventually.
Yep.
And then you're just going to stir. Stir.
With like a rubber spatula?
Rubber spatula or a whisk.
How long are these supposed to take?
5 to 10 minutes.
Long time. Okay.
Takes a while. Stir, and still until it looks sort of like cottage cheese.
I'm going to be honest, that's a disgusting visual, but yeah, okay. Yep.
So it's like, it's a little set, but not really. But it's like thick and luscious.
Are we still talking about eggs?
Yep.
Okay.
The thing is, you don't want to take it too far.
I've been accused of that a lot in my life.
So depending on where it's at, you might have to take it off the heat. Take it off the burner, move the pan.
How do you know? How can you tell?
As long as the eggs are in the pan, they're going to keep cooking regardless.
Oh.
So it's much easier to take them off too soon. Then you like season them with salt and pepper if you want, and then you can throw them back in. But if you like let them cook too hard, then you can't go back.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Then it's not a soft scramble anymore.
Exactly. You want it to like be liquidy. If like you pour it into a plate, you want to spread out. And maybe like hold just ever so slightly, like a slight little mound.
Okay. Anything else that I should be doing? So I season, it doesn't matter when I season?
Typically at the end.
Okay.
And if you want to like throw in a dollop of like creme fraiche or sour cream for extra lusciousness, you can.
What's the difference between creme fraiche and sour cream?
There is one, but I can't think of what it is.
I respect
my
that.
head. So I'm going to pass.
Nope. Yeah.
Don't fire me.
Yeah, you looked down the barrel. I pass. So you mix that in when it's in the pan or after? Okay.
When it's in the pan.
Interesting. Do you ever put in cheese?
Not for a soft scramble.
I don't know.
I feel like it's already like creamy enough that the cheese would just be overkill.
I totally forgot that you made this for me. Was it the first year we went to South by Southwest?
I think I only went with you 1 year.
Well, I think it was the first year I went. No, second year I went. And you made soft scrambled eggs. And I remember I was ready to have 100 more plates. Do you recommend chives on top?
Yeah, they're nice. Nice little touch if you have them.
But you wouldn't put raisins in there, right? You wouldn't do that.
No.
Thank God. Why?
Well, maybe just for you.
Yeah. Why? Are you going to serve it also with pudding? Mm-hmm. You're a monster of epic proportions.
Raisin pudding.
Would you? I guess you can't. It's got to be harder to make like a recipe. Like I feel like you can't go to your editor at the Post and be like, "Here's a recipe for a kind of eggs." They'd be like, "Yeah, we've seen them all. We're egged up."
We've done that before.
Really? Yeah. What new recipe have you made for eggs?
It's not a new recipe, but I wrote a whole thing about how to make the perfect sunny side up egg.
Can I guess? I mean, don't you just like you're cooking it and then you put a little water in so it steam cooks the top when you cover it?
Nope.
Okay, so I took a swing for the fences. I want to be clear.
The issue with that is then you get the white film over top of the yolk. You put it in the oven.
Interesting. I'm going to be honest. When I get over easy, I actually get over medium. I don't need that much runniness. So I feel like I wouldn't like sunny side up eggs anyway, because I feel like that's a lot of runniness.
Too much for you?
I think so.
Want it to be tighter, maybe a jog instead of a run.
Well, now we're in all kinds of analogies that I'm not quite sure how we get to. Yeah, I guess so.
That's where I draw the line.
I respect that. Well, speaking of drawing the line, you're your second restaurant group and we're indifferent to it. Then what? Where are we at?
Then tasting table.
Tasting table. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I was working on a restaurant app. That was my job.
How was that?
It was not exactly what I wanted to be doing, but it was a foot in the door.
So once you had that foot in the door, how did you get the rest of your body in the door?
And then I was like, hi, editorial people. I also like to write. Let me do that, please.
Did they say, give me a sample?
I forget the exact steps, but they were like, okay.
I'm sorry. They literally just looked at you and go, okay.
Well, not quite like that, but
he's a cutie. Okay.
After some conversations, and then there was one person who worked there who she saw enough to like let me write.
So you're writing for Tasting Table, and you must have liked that better than the app.
Yes.
Okay. You're doing that. Are you starting to get notice? Is the Hungry Hutch starting to pick up a little bit now?
Yeah. The Hungry Hutch has started to pick up.
Traffic's coming.
I mean, the traffic was always minimal, but I had been contributing to other bigger sites and blogs and whatnot. I was contributing to Pillsbury. I was contributing to a website called simplyrecipes.com.
I know Simply Recipes.
So I was like actually getting paid for developing recipes at this point.
I know Simply Recipes. I also know Sally's Baking Addiction. I go there. So you're writing these recipes for everybody. You're becoming the hometown hero of recipe writing. Take us through the journey. I
had started interviewing for another job, Michelin,
my favorite tire company. You go to Michelin. I'm going to be honest. My kitchen never received any stars from Michelin.
It didn't?
I know that's weird because I am a decent cook. Some might even say slightly above mediocre. And I don't really understand. Michelin didn't even come and try my cooking. which is upsetting. So you're working at Michelin. Did you have any say in who gets what?
No, not at all. That was not my job.
Did you want it?
No.
It feels like a lot of power.
Yeah, maybe too much power.
What were you doing for Michelin then?
They launched an editorial website where it was like articles, profiles, interviews with chefs and whatnot. That was more than just the stars.
Did you actually like it?
There were parts of it that I liked, yeah.
I don't ask if you liked it because I'm shading Michelin. I'm not shading Michelin at all. I'm more asking it because it's like we're getting closer. It feels tangential to what you want. It doesn't feel like what you want. Like I'm sure Michelin's a fine company, but like that's not the exact job description I think you wanted. Am I wrong?
It's not the exact job description, but it was pretty close. I mean, I was still writing about food, which was the bulk of what I wanted to do. And I was still had the blog on the side where I was writing recipes. So...
And is this the point where the blog starts taking off?
Took off more, yeah.
Okay. So the blog is probably taking up a chunk of your time. So are you just doing Michelin by day and then every day you're going home and doing stuff for Hungry Hutch?
A lot of days, yeah.
Did you ever think to bring other people on to help build out the Hungry Hutch brand?
I thought about it, but then I stopped thinking about it because I'm also very, what's the right word for this?
Control freak?
Yes.
I mean, it's just interesting because I think that like the Hungry Hutch is a brand. I feel like in the same way that like Pillsbury was hiring you for recipes, you could enlist other people that you trust.
That just changes what the Hungry Hutch is, because the Hungry Hutch, for the vast majority of it, well, all of it is me. So if I start bringing in other people, then that changes sort of the philosophy of how I thought of my blog.
Well, I think then that goes back to our earlier conversation. We were talking about how important is your identity. It sounds like at this point it's become pretty important because the sacred nature of Hungry Hutch is that it is you. And there's no other coloring by anyone else, either in or out of the lines. It's always you are there.
Yes.
So you go through this, you're at Michelin. Is the next step Washington Post?
You get laid off.
You get laid off by Michelin.
Yeah.
I don't even use their tires anymore. I use Goodyear now. You get laid off and then what?
And then 2020 happens. I get laid off that January. And then March comes around.
Easy March. I don't even remember it.
I'm supposed to start a part-time job in a test kitchen for a magazine.
Hopefully not Bon Appetit. Go on.
That was supposed to start like March 17th.
By the way, that was a great joke. You didn't even recognize how good that joke was, but okay.
I got it.
Yeah. You don't,
No comment.
Yeah. You're not commenting
You're
on it.
trying to like put me in hot water with people.
I'm not trying to put you in hot water with anybody. This is not a gotcha podcast. I was just showing.
You're trying to steep me.
I was just. No one has used it like that before. Trying to steep you. I'm trying to dip you in hot water. No, I was just showing you that I know. I'm up on the goss, the scoops.
And so I'm then unemployed / freelancing.
And then what? You see the posting for the Washington Post, or someone contacted you?
I think someone contacted me because I had expressed interest previously in other jobs they had posted. And I had also like written for them as a freelancer before. But before whatever happened that year, I was like, I don't want to leave New York.
Well, we all know how that went.
Yeah. Then I was like, well, might as well.
Am I misunderstanding when I think that the Washington Post, what you're doing for the Washington Post, is the pinnacle of what some people who are going to culinary school at 23 want?
Correct.
You have a dream and you achieve that dream. It leaves a hole in you where the wanting of that dream was. Were you scared to take the job at Washington Post because that was partially dream achieved?
I don't think I thought about that and when I was deciding whether or not to accept the job, but that is something that's definitely on my mind now because there's a part of me that's like, now what? For the past 10 years, I've been working towards this point in life and I hadn't really thought much further.
Yeah, you're like the dog that caught the car. Now what do you do? Is there any part of you that says, okay, well, I can just be happy here?
I don't think I could be happy here forever.
Right.
I mean, I'm happy here for now.
Sure.
That's what I'm just sort of living in. But I think at some point, what's next?
When you think about yourself as a chef, do you think about there's a lot I want to give to the world, whether the culinary world or the world in general? Like, I want to leave a legacy. How do I do that? Or is the focus more, I just want to be happy, whatever that means necessarily that I'm doing? Maybe I'm not making as big of an impact, but as long as I'm happy, it's fine.
Oh, no, I need an impact.
You want to make an impact?
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, I mean, to me, you're making, from my vantage point, a very big impact. When you go to bed at night, do you think I can make a bigger impact? But I just don't know how yet.
Yes. I think there's always more people to reach.
You got any ideas?
I want deep conversations, aren't I?
Hey, Oh, you sweet talker. You know, that's about as good a transition as any for the lightning round. You ready for it?
Yep.
These are fast questions. They don't have to be fast answers, so feel free to take your time.
Can they be medium answers?
They can be medium answers, sure. Listen, the world is your soft scramble. Question 1, what is a favorite ritual of yours? So mine is making tea.
I don't know if I have a lot of rituals, to be honest.
Interesting.
Like me getting ready for bed is like turning off the TV, maybe blowing out a candle, turning out the lights, putting away a couple dishes, like walking around, closing down the apartment.
So that's, yeah.
And then crawling into bed and saying, good night, Google, so that my then thunderstorm rain sounds will start playing and I can go to sleep.
You go to sleep to thunderstorms?
Mm-hmm.
I was just telling you about thunderstorms earlier today. Question 2, what is a running bit with a friend or partner that makes you laugh?
Pudding.
Pudding. The dessert that never dies. Pudding. I'm fine with that answer. Question 3, can you do an impression of one or both of your parents?
I don't know. I like used to call them oops and ouch because they always either hurt themselves or like, oops, I didn't mean to do that.
Who was oops and who was ouch?
I get it confused, but I feel like my mom is oops and my dad is ouch.
I respect that. I would consider my mom both. My mom hurts herself all the time and will just also do things sometimes where I'll go, why'd you do that? She goes, oh, I don't know. I shouldn't have done that probably. I'm like, what is happening? Question 4, and I'm actually very particularly interested in this for you. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And if so, is there a time that really resonates for you?
Yes. I don't think I've felt it recently, thankfully, which I guess is a good thing.
Yeah.
But for much of my food career, middle part of it, I think definitely was like I would see my name in these big magazines or newspapers and be like, what? Who did that?
Who's another Aaron Hutcherson?
Like, yeah. Or like, I've been in People magazine twice. And I was like, what? How?
I didn't even remember you were in People magazine. I do now. I'm vaguely recalling it now that you said it. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I regularly joke with Jess, a running bit that we have is if I've done something, it doesn't matter. For example, if I look in the mirror, I go, oh, I look cute. She goes, yeah. I was like, I think I'm like People's top 40 under 40 cute boys. And she's like, I don't think that's true. I was like, oh, so you read People? You've read every issue of People? She's like, no. I was like, okay, so then it is possible that I'm on that list. That's crazy, man. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
How amazing is that?
Mind blowing.
It is. Final question. What is your favorite tea? Or if not a tea, what's your favorite comfort?
Ooh, my favorite tea, I like a Jinmaicha.
Oh, it's my favorite.
I also really love a mint tea. I mean, I feel like it's maybe a little basic, but
it's not basic at all. I have a huge supply of peppermint rooibos tea in my house.
Sign me up.
It's amazing. I also have a peppermint oolong. That's quite good. This was lovely. How do you feel?
I feel like I want some pudding.
Oh, you monster. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Hutch. Don't eat pudding. Tweet us pudding or pumpkin pie. I wasn't kidding. This is real. I'm looking right down the barrel. I'm looking at you. Pudding or pumpkin pie. Hutch, I love you. Thank you for coming.
Love you too. Mean it.
You better. That was Aaron Hutcherson. You can follow him on Instagram and Twitter at The Hungry Hutch. And you can read all of his articles in the Washington Post. Steep Conversations is produced and edited by Lucas Marshka. Our theme song and additional music are by Oliver Hymack. Our cover art was done by Neil Fraser with photography by Matt Mazisco. Social media by Dia Villegas. Please write a review and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts and wherever else you can. You can send any questions, comments, newly friend game suggestions, or tea suggestions to steepcombos@gmail.com or tweet us at steepconvos. I'm Josh Lanzette, and you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Josh Lanzette. We'll be back next week, so until then, happy steeping.